today's webinar, Introduction to DC AC Power Inverters. So today we're going to going through your following aspects. So I'm going to give some of the fundamentals for the power conversion systems and what is a DC to AC power converters, why it is required, and the fundamental related to that, what are the different kinds of applications that DC to AC power converters are using. And what are the software platforms that we are using to simulate DC AC power converters, and how to design them and how to implement them. And I will be giving some of the simple demo of how to understand the operation of DC to AC power converters with some case studies. And the finally, the everything in the audience interested, as well as very important aspect for every individual, that is what are the job opportunities that we get once you know the knowledge of DC to AC power converters. Okay, let me start with some basics. So these are the basics are very important to understand some of the DC to power converters. So first of all, we need to know like what kinds of sources and the loads available in the power systems. So there are basically the two types of sources. One is AC and the other is DC. So we generally know like DC is the one commonly available in batteries, our cell phones, everything. So where the voltage is like is a constant and with respect to time, and its frequency is 0. So when you exert any system or any load, it will take some time to charge the current. That will depends upon the time constant. So for the DC sources that we have is like battery and also the solar, which is also a DC source. And there are some other sources like fuel cells, and there are some other supercapacitors, and there are sources for the DC. And when it comes to the AC, main our source is an AC grid. Like we have our whatever we have in the households and commercial industrial applications, what we have AC grid. So where the voltage is varies with respect to time, and it is in the sinusoidal form, and it operates with a frequency f. There is a fundamental frequency. And when you connect do any load, so it may be a leading or lagging with respect to type of load, the current will be lagging and leading to the voltage. Okay, so that will be defined with the angle phi, and the cos phi is will be a power factor. Okay, these are the two types of power sources we have. So when you go with the different types of loads, so what are the loads? We have AC and DC loads. And DC loads, we have a DC motor. AC loads, we have AC motor. There are some applications in our household. There are AC power supply, runs with AC power supply. And there are some other, these loads will be used in a residential, commercial, industrial, and transportation like electric vehicles and electric locomotives or EMUs and metro trains. And also we're using this kind of loads in the aerospace, where the frequency operation is at 400 Hz. And we're using the same kind of loads in the ship propulsion systems. So now we have basically we have two types of sources, AC and DC, and DC to, and loads are AC and DC. So we need to connect a system that we have a power supply, either AC or DC, and we have a AC and DC loads. So whatever that we have interface between this power supply and the AC load, we call it as a power electronics converter. So suppose if we have AC here, we have AC here, but the AC will have a different voltage and frequencies required. Suppose if it's a motor, so we need to have a power electronic device circuitry to match with the load. Similarly, you have a DC, that is a battery. We have a motor with AC, so we need to have from DC to AC. Similarly, you have a AC source, and you have to have a battery here, so which is DC. So we need to convert AC to DC. So this operation can be done using some semiconductor switches, inductors, or like energy storage elements, and this will be controlled by using a controller. So basically this controller will takes the input from the measurements, and what are the required desired value is try to meet a error between the measurement values and the reference, and it will generate the control signal to the power electronic converter, and it will be operated. So this power electronics converter can be one stage or two stage. Suppose if you see here, this converter, we have input here, but we need to output. Maybe we can convert using two converters. So one energy here will be transferred to converter one, and it will be stored in energy storage element. and then it will be passed to a other converter. So in this case, there will be different thing that happens. So suppose if the power input is a Pi and power output is P naught. So when you convert from Pi to P naught, it won't be the same and there will be some losses in the system. So then the input power will be always greater than output power. So these are the conversion systems. So we will be going more in detail how this conversion going to happen. So this power converter, as I discussed before, there are some components are there. So there's a semiconductors. Basically, it is a switch that we require to operate. So that can be a diodes, thyristors, or MOSFETs, or IGBTs, that is insulated gate bipolar transistors. These are the semiconductors that we use. We use a passive elements to transfer the energy. It will be inductor or capacitor or transformer, and there will be control circuitry will be there to control the switches, and this can be developed using analog or digital control circuits. So this is the complete scenario of power electronics components that we have in the power conversion systems. So these are the some of switches that widely adopted in the industry. So this will be of IGBT of 4.5 kV, 600 amps. So these are the rating that we have. This is for high power applications. And there is a MOSFET that will be used for the low power application. There are new technologies has been developed in the semiconductor industries, that is the silicon carbide MOSFETs and gallium nitrates. So these are the different emerging solutions for this current thing. So now most of the people have focused on these works. How do you select a MOSFET or IGBT or based on that? So that will be depends upon the power and switching frequency here. So when you go for high switching high power applications, you can go with the IGBT applications. So these are at high power applications. So when you go for high switching frequency, then you can go with a silicon carbide MOSFETs. So this we're going to discuss in more detail when it comes under understanding in detail of the course. So these are the different kinds of semiconductors that was available in the market. So when it comes to the passive components, there is an inductor and capacitor, the basic that we have here. So the inductor value depends upon the number of turns and the area of cross section and the length of the conductor. So based on the core, we have different types of core, either air core, iron core, a ferrite core, and variable core. So most of the power electronic circuits will be used with a ferrite core. And when you have a capacitors, there are basically classified as two types. One is polarized and non-polarized. Polarized is generally of electrolytic capacitors. So they have a sign, like there will be positive sign here and negative sign. So you have to connect your source to based on the polarity. So non-polarized can be connected in either ways. So generally it is film capacitors. So generally used for these applications. So we will discuss more in detail, like what are the components, what are the capacitors and inductors will be used for the power electronics components. So when you see the phasor representation, if you consider there's a load of inductive load, the voltage will be lead by the current by 90 degrees. Similarly, for the capacitor, the current is leads by 90 degrees with respect to its voltage. So these are the phasor representation that we need to know by in-depth understanding of the components. So now we have the basic conversion will be classified as a 4 types: AC to DC, DC to DC, AC to DC, AC to AC, and DC to AC. Suppose we have a power supply with constant voltage and the frequency. This is the constant. We need to have a variable DC required for application. Suppose you have a power supply, we need to have control a DC motor here. So when you want to control a DC motor, we need to use a rectifier, or else suppose you have a battery here. So you have to charge the battery from the grid. So we can use a AC to DC converters. So basically we call this as a rectifier action. Okay. So this is a rectifier. And there are some applications where we need to have a DC to DC. We have some constant voltage. We need to have some kind of variable DC. Suppose we require a DC or the battery or any other kinds of loads which requires a variable DC. So where we need to have a DC to DC. Suppose we can also use for, suppose you have a 24 volts and you need to convert to a system to a 5 volts. So in that case also we can use a DC to DC converter of step down and we can generate 5 volts. And also there are some converters which requires AC to AC. Here the AC to is the waveform type is from AC, but in terms of voltage and frequency, they are different. Suppose if you see here, this is the constant voltage and frequency waveform, and we need to pass a converter where we require a variable voltage and variable frequency. Suppose you connect an induction motor here, and we connect a motor where is required variable voltage and variable frequency. So because you need to maintain the flux equivalent to V by F. Similarly, I already mentioned here, this cannot be a AC to AC directly, or it can be a from AC to DC, and which passes through any DC source, energy storage, and then the DC to AC. The conversion can be like this. And there is a straightforward DC to AC converters where we have a constant DC. We need to have a variable voltage and frequency, or else fixed voltage or frequency. So this can be a motor here or a grid. So our focus is more on DC to AC converters, and even for the AC to AC converters in DC to AC converters. So now our focus is more on DC to AC converters. So where we need to convert constant DC to variable voltage and frequency. So what are the applications that generally we use for this DC to AC inverters? We generally use this one for the variable frequency drives and wind energy systems. So here, if you see here, wind energy, this is a wind turbine, so it's connected to a machine, and where it generates the pulsating AC, and we connect it to a energy storage here, and then from the DC, we're connecting to a grid of to AC with a constant voltage and the frequency, the amplitude and the frequency. So this portion is a DC to AC conversion stage. And similarly here, for the variable frequency, we need to connect to a grid. So the voltage and the frequency is fixed, and we convert to AC to DC using a energy storage element here, capacitor, and then DC to AC, and the motor that we connected to V0 or F0, what are the output voltage and the frequency required. Generally, these are the things we are using for the draft fans in the power plants. So these are the applications of DC to AC converter for the indirect, like from the AC to DC and DC to AC. So can we have anything that can be converted directly to AC to DC? Yes, we have in the electric vehicles where we have a battery, which is a DC source, and we need to connect the motor which need to propel the electric vehicle. So basically I'm representing here with a battery and a DC to AC converter to control the motor. Okay. Similarly, we have in the solar, we have a DC source, and we need to connect to a grid. So this is AC source. So here the inverter will plays a role to convert a DC to AC. So these are the grid connected solar applications. And there are some applications where we have solar water pump systems which we use for the agriculture purposes. So these are the solar. We have a DC here, and we need to have a motor which is required a AC source. So this converter will plays a role to convert to DC to AC. So these are the different kinds of applications where we can use a DC to DC converters. So I listed out a few examples. There are several examples in terms of ship propulsion systems, aerospace technologies, and there are some other kinds of fuel cell vehicles. So there are many applications where we can use a DC to DC converter. So now we'll focus on more on DC to DC converters and what are the fundamentals. Let's start with simple example. We have a DC source with VDC. So we need to generate a square wave. We assume this is a AC wave. So what we need to do is we need to generate a AC wave with a particular duration of T for some interval T1 and minus VDC for the T2 interval. So what we can do first, so first we have a battery or voltage source, we have a load here. So what we can do is if you connect directly these terminals, positive and positive terminals. So what will be the output? V0 is equivalent to VDC. So this is the output will be equal to VDC during particular interval. So the duration in which you connected to the load. So what we need to have here in the other duration is minus VDC. How can we do that? So what we do is we just reverse the terminals of the battery. So minus VDC we will apply here to the positive, and the plus point will be connected to the negative point. So what we get V0 is equivalent to minus VDC. So now what is the things that we understand from this one? So first, connect a load directly to the DC source, and second, reverse connect the load across the DC. That means you are applying minus VDC. And to get this portion, we need to have a zero state. So what we need to do is you just short the load, so it will be zero. So these are the three possible states we need to get: plus VDC, 0 and minus VDC. So this is the square wave, but when you consider the square wave, the fundamental component, this will be a sine wave. So how we can do this analysis can be done using a Fourier series expansion. So we can find out the square wave is the function of fundamental plus some harmonics. So it can be odd or even harmonics. So this will be going to detail how the square wave will be resulted into the fundamental sine wave plus the harmonics points. So how we can realize the same phenomena what we discussed now? We need to connect a plus VDC, minus VDC and zero states. So we have two poles here. So this is the pole A and pole B. So now we can realize using this is a pole and this is a double through. So this is one through and this is other. So what we can do, we can make the switch to positive or negative direction here. So when it's connected to positive, plus VDC will be applied as a point A. When it connected to the T2, then minus voltage will be across here. Similarly, when you have a B pole, so when you connect it to this point, so we'll get positive VDC, and when you connect it to this point, you will get negative VDC. Now we can see here there are different states are happening. Suppose if A is positive and B is negative, means A has more potential than B, and this is connected to VDC. So VDC is the 1 voltage, and the high potential, the current flows in this direction. Suppose if B is positive and A is negative, there will be minus VDC, and this has a more potential than this, so current has to flow in this direction. And we can get two other states when both are positive, so it will be 0. When both are negative, it will be 0. Okay, so we are able to get the same kind of equation: plus VDC, minus VDC, and 0 and 0. And we have current in both directions. So how can we realize this into switch, the single pole and double through a switch? So what happens, it has to flow both the direction. So the switch has to be allowed to pass both current in both the direction. And also suppose this switch is on, so plus VDC will be across this. So what will be the voltage across this one? Is this point is 0. So VDC minus 0 is VDC. So finally, what are the requirements of the source? The point can be connected to both positive and negative irrespective of the current, and need switch which can conduct in both the directions, and the blocking voltage should be DC link voltage. So what can be realized? We can realize with a simple MOSFET or a IGBT. So this is the IGBT circuit we have. So when you turn on the switch, so the current flowing through this direction. When this diode is forward bias, the current flowing in these directions. So it can allow both current in both directions. Okay, so these are the requirements. When you see here, the circuit will be formed like this. So this we can call as a single phase DC to AC converter, and it is a full bridge configuration. So this is the full bridge configuration. So this is the single phase circuit. With the three phase circuits, so what we can do is we can add one more leg in the circuit, and we have now three poles A, B, and C. In the single phase, we connected load between A and B, and here we need to get a phase where we need to consider one more pole N, and we need to connect with some kind of load. So now we have three switches, TPW switches here, and here what we did, we split the voltage into two parts, and at the reference point O, where we get here VDC by 2, VDC by 2. So now if I consider the VAO output is equivalent to, so when this is connected to the positive bus, so this point is connected to here, So plus VDC by 2, and this is connected between these 2 points, it is VDC by 2 minus VDC by 2. So you have plus VDC and minus VDC by 2. Okay, this is the output. So similarly, we can realize with the 3 PW switches, and this can be replaced with IGBT or MOSFET. We can see that this is the three-phase inverter, which is a DC source, and the output will be the AC source. So here, these are the 3 poles we connected, and through a load, and there will be a other pole. So this is the complete circuit diagram of 3-phase. So we'll be discussing more on this thing, because this is the most popular using for especially for motor drive applications, electric vehicles, and electrical propulsion systems for ship, aerospace, and electric railway traction systems. So this is very important. So we're going to discuss in more in details of each one operation, modeling, and how to control this 3-phase inverter. So now what we discussed is the square wave. Now we need to get the pure sinusoidal waves. So here we can see here this sinusoidal, when we add some kind of harmonics, so we're able to get this one. So we discussed that the square wave is equivalent to the fundamental plus some harmonics. So when you pass this to a circuit which can remove the harmonics, we can able to extract the fundamental from it. So these harmonics can be a lower order harmonics or higher order harmonics. So we need to remove the lower order harmonics as well as higher order harmonics. So if you want to remove the higher order harmonics, use a circuit where we can remove the higher order harmonics. So that can be doing a low pass filter. So where we have cutoff frequency, based on the cutoff below the frequency, it allows the harmonics. Above that, it will block the harmonics. So in the low pass, it will block the higher order harmonics. So only the lower order harmonics will be presented. So for this case, there are different kinds of single phase inverters available in the literature, half bridge, and this is the structure of full bridge. So this is more popular because it has a higher output voltage and lower total harmonic dispersion. We'll be discussing what it is, the total harmonic dispersion, which means basically in the square wave, the amount of fundamental is more compared to this one, and the harmonics content is less. So when you have a less harmonics, so the size of the low pass filter is small. So we can use with a smaller value of low pass filter. So this will be discussed in details of how we can design a low pass filter and how to eliminate the harmonics in the square wave.